simple configuration video. Before we continue with this video, please make sure that the Awingu appliance is installed and that all connectivity requirements are in place. As an example, we will show you how to publish Word to all domain users. This is actually a 5-step process in which we will start with linking the Awingu appliance to the domain. We will test if we can log in with a domain user onto the Awingu appliance. We will create the necessary Awingu labels. We will link the Awingu to the application server. And finally, we will publish Word from that application server to all domain users. We start by logging in into the Awingu appliance with the admin user and password that was created during the appliance installation. Once we are logged in, you will see that there is a tool called System Management Console, and it's with this application that we will do the configuration of the Awingu appliance. So, for those who already have seen the System Management Console in previous versions, you will notice that some things have changed. Those changes are most of the time related to the fact that we now support full multi-tenancy, and that for every domain we have in the Awingu setup, it's now possible to specify the applications and the file server separately. So as this is a simple configuration, we will only add one domain, so we will start by doing that. The domain tab is now below the global admin tab over here, and only admin users who are global to the Awingu appliance will be able to update it. So let's start by adding a domain. As you can see, there are no domains yet in this appliance, so adding one is quite simple and straightforward. So let's add one. So let's start by specifying the NetBIOS name, which is in our case stack. And as you will see, as of this release, we also ask for an Awingu name. The Awingu name is mainly necessary when you're doing multi-tenant setups, where, for example, as a hoster, you have only one NetBIOS domain, but you have multiple tenants. But in this case, as it's a simple setup, let's give it the same name. And then next step is the fully qualified domain name. So this could be yourcompany.local or something else, but in our example it's stack.awingu.com. And then the next one is the host header. I'll also leave this one blank for this setup because we only have one domain, but in a multi-tenant environment it's possible to link certain host headers to certain Awingu domains, so that if you go to that name, you automatically log in into that domain and you don't have to specify it. So, but I'll leave it blank. The next question is about also for multi-tenancy purposes, but it's possible now to have like 2 levels of administrative users in Awingu. You have administrative users who can manage all domains, and you have administrative users who can only manage the domain where they are in. As we in this setup only have one domain, so it's automatically an administrative domain. Then next step is to specify the LDAP server of the domain controller. So in our case, this is stack.awingu.com, and it's asking also for the base DN. So in our case, this is dcstackawingu.com. So the next field is LDAP over SSL. Basically, this is needed if you want Awingu to be able to update your user password, so that you from in the Awingu console can change the password on the domain. Also important is that your Active Directory needs to have a certificate installed to get this working. So for our environment, this is the case. DNS server, I'll leave this blank. Typically, it's also the domain controller, but the one we have specified in the setup is fine. But you could specify for this domain another one. And then the bind user is the user we will use to bind to the domain, to, for example, for fetching all users or for fetching servers, or for example, updating the password. So we will specify a specific user for this. It doesn't need to be an admin, but it needs to be a user with enough privileges on the network to connect to the LDAP server. The last 2 are advanced settings, and we leave them unchanged. So let's test now if everything has worked as it should be. So let's log out, and if I now use one of my domain users, so in this case my personal account, you will see that I'm able to log in with this user onto the Awingu domain. So let's continue now by adding some applications. So first of all, I have to log out again and go back to my admin account for that and start up again the system management console. So I'm logged in, I start up the system management console. And you will see that I'm now in the stack domain, and there is a tab which is now available which is called Manage. And under Manage you will see all the things we can manage. Before we can add an application server, we first have to create a label for that application server or group of application servers. So what we will do is we will manually add a new key pair, and this is something which is a bit not so straightforward. It's something you have to know, but it's actually a very powerful tool, those labels. But for this simple setup, the only thing you have to do, and it's only once, is that you have to create a key which is called app server, and let's call those my app servers. So what we will do is we will put all the application servers under this label, and then we can easily add apps later to them. So let's add this label. And so the next step is linking now the application servers with that label. We can do two things. We can add them manually, or we can import them from the Active Directory automatically. As we have specified the bind user, we will import them automatically. So let's click on import. And as this is a quite complex environment, we have many application servers in this domain. But let's just pick two of them, or let's pick those two, and they are on standard ports. Each of them can have 50 concurrent users. They are enabled, and we will put them in the my application servers. As you can see, we have now two application servers which are known to the Awingu Appliance. So we're almost there. The last step is that we add an application. So to do that, we go to the application tab, and we'll add the Word application. So the application will be displayed as Word. We have to choose an icon. Voilà. And now we have to specify the protocol we want to use. So as we have published Word on a terminal server, we will use remote application, and the command is WinWord. We support Unicode keyboards, and we will put it in the Office category. If you want to manage the categories, there is also a tab under Manage where you could do this. We're almost there. Now we have to associate which media types you want this application to use. So let's use Word and those two. Voilà. And then we're again in the labels section. So we will run those on the application servers we have put in the group My Application Servers, and all the users can start this application. So let's add it. And now let's see if everything works as it should. Let's log out, and let's log in again with my domain user. And if everything goes well, I should see my Word application which is published, and if I now click on it, it should open in my browser. Let's see if it works. Voila! And we have Word published for all domain users. This brings us to the end of the instruction video. Let's go one more time over all steps to make a simple Awingu configuration. We start by adding a domain. New in 3.1 is that we now support full multi-tenancy. Before importing the server, don't forget to create an app server label. And if you want to import them automatically, also don't forget that you have to specify a bind user and password in the domain. And finally, you can publish the applications by selecting the correct protocol and by linking the server labels